The finale of Dexter Resurrection has just been released, and it's safe to say that the show rounded off in the way that all of us wanted it to. Prater was killed by Dexter, Charlie stood by her moral values, Harrison survived, and Dexter realized that he had to accept who he was and that he was always going to be that. With the success of the show, it got me thinking about what could happen in Season 2, theorizing on if it was still going to be in New York, if we'd actually see the New York Ripper, and wondering if Dexter would eventually get his hands on Al. Well, I thought I'd take a look at all that's out there, along with giving my theories and predictions on what I think could happen next. So, let's get into it. Here is Dexter Resurrection Season 2, theories and everything we know. The story. The story was what made this show one of the best seasons of TV from the summer. With the way that the show ended, there were genuinely so many different directions that it could go in, but let's start with what it seems like's gonna happen. First off, I reckon the next season is going to be based around Dexter going after his next batch of killers. First on his list is going to be Al, as he made sure to take his file when he left Prater's, and during the closing scene of the episode, he was the first one that was right in front of him and us. Al is the killer that got away, as Dexter originally wanted him gone a few episodes back, so I think Dexter will be sure to make him pay when he tracks him down. As well as that, it also seems like there are going to be at least 4 new killers introduced as well. The first killer we didn't get to see the name of, but then there was one called Jaw Splitter, which sounds like a horrific way to go. Midnight Mangler and the Yonkers Slayer. So we know for a fact that there's going to be new and interesting killers that Dexter's going to be going after. Al obviously still believes that Dexter is Red Schmidt, the Dark Passenger, so it'll be interesting to see Al's reaction when it gets revealed that Dexter is the Bay Harbour Butcher. And also what Al's family think if they find out that he's Rapunzel, the ponytail killer. With Dexter being aware of the fact that he was accepting who he was and was no longer wearing this mask, and with the Statue of Liberty being out of focus in the background on the boat, it does make me wonder if he's even going to be in New York City, because it felt symbolic of him leaving. However, with his apartment still being there, I think we could see the season being split between different places. He'll be based in New York, where we'll see the story with Harrison, but then he'll be heading off to the different locations to finish off taking out Prater's clients. This would also then mean that the New York Ripper storyline would be able to continue. At first, I originally thought that the story was going to be over and done with, because Wallace and Oliva found out the identity from the file and that it was Don Frampt. But with the impending announcement of Prater being on the run and him being a deranged individual that was obsessed with serial killers, that could cause the likes of Don Frampt to go into hiding, and we could still see the likes of Detective Wallace being obsessed with trying to catch the case that's haunted her for her entire career. I would like the New York Ripper to feature in some capacity, because it felt like he was going to have a heavy focus, and it all kind of ended up being for nothing. So my hope is that either he'll start up again, or he'll go into hiding, and Dexter might even end up being the person that closes the case of the man that avoided the authorities and killed in the shadows for all of those years. His killings were absolutely brutal, and he still has an appetite for it because he taunts the victims' families on the phone. So we could see Don Frampt appearing as an actual character and not just as a name on a label. When it comes to other characters, I still think there's going to be a heavy focus on the father and son dynamic between Dexter and Harrison, because like what Dexter said, Harrison is what grounds him. So I think we'll see the likes of Harrison growing in ways that Dexter simply can't. I think he'll look to have that strong relationship with Gigi and go off to college so that he can study to work in law enforcement. But I think that he's going to constantly get tempted and pulled into the dark side of his life. The side that Dexter wants him to steer clear of, and the one that Harrison also wants to walk away from as well. So it's going to be challenging. Say this show runs for 3 seasons. I don't think Harrison gets a happy ending. I think he either ends up in jail or dead, because realistically, that'll be the thing that ends up hurting Dexter the most. Watching his son following in his footsteps despite trying so hard to keep him away from it all. I think the likes of Charlie are probably out of the story for good now. Her one was wrapped up quite nicely with her standing by her morals. Plus, with Prater also gone, there's no reason why she'd need to show up. Honestly, there are so many different directions that the show could go in when it returns for season 2, and I can't wait to see what happens when it does return. If the story's even a fraction of how good this season was, we'll still be in for something great. The release date. The biggest question that's on every Dexter fan's mind right now is, when will the next season be released? However, the thing that has to be addressed first is, will there even be another season? Well, I was originally under the impression that a new season had actually been confirmed and the renewal status was greenlit, but that doesn't seem to be the case at all. There's been no official word from Paramount or Showtime, who are the studios behind the show, on if the show will be coming back. However, it was reported in late August that they were opening the writer's room to potentially work on the next season. So no official renewal has happened, but a good sign is that they're willing to open that writer's room door. When predicting if a new season of the show will get greenlit, the only thing it has going against it is the fact that Original Sin was recently cancelled despite being given the go-ahead. But other than that, this show has been breaking viewership records left, right and centre. Take the premiere as an example. In its first 3 days, it got 3.1 million viewers, and in its first week, it reached 4.4 million viewers. This meant that it was the most streamed premiere in Showtime's history on Paramount+. As well, it was 25% higher in viewership than what Original Sin had, so the audience being engaged with it is something that the studio doesn't have to worry about at all. When also looking at how the episodes have been rated, it's got a 9.2 overall on IMDb, and that puts it up there as the 17th best show of all time, so the quality is something that isn't holding it back either. Personally, I do think we're going to get a new season of the show. It's got everything going in its favour, and at the end of the finale, we saw that Dexter was going to be going after Al, so I don't think they'd deprive us of seeing that. When looking at when the show could be released, in the modern TV world, studios seem to make us wait at least 2 years between seasons, and I have a feeling that this could be the case. I think we could be looking at a mid-2027 release date. I would like it to be on the earlier side, and if it does surprise us and do that, then the earliest we'd probably get it would be in the early part of 2027. So we've definitely got a little while to wait for sure. I think we'll hear in the next week or so if there'll be another season. It's usually between a few days and around a fortnight on that first initial announcement, so let's just keep a lookout. The cast. When it comes to the cast, this season had so many star-studded names that were in it as the killers, and were the ones that were on the opposite side to Dexter. Peter Dinklage, Uma Thurman, Neil Patrick Harris, and Eric Stonestreet to name just a few. So I feel like they'd probably do the same in bringing back some large names when casting the killers for when they bring it back. Outside of the new killers that we can expect to see that I mentioned in the first part of the video, I think it's safe to assume that we'll see Jack Olcott returning as Harrison, Michael C. Hall as Dexter, the character Gigi, and if the show is going to be happening in New York, that means we could also see Blessing, Detective Wallace, and Detective Melvin Oliva again. Unfortunately for now, that's all that's known about the second season of Dexter Resurrection. Over the course of the next few months, we're probably going to get drip-fed some news until we eventually get a trailer, so I'm just hoping it's not going to be a show that makes us wait several years for its return. It's just that good, and it leaves you wanting more. So, there you have it, Dexter Resurrection Season 2 theories and everything we know. If you want to see episodes of Dexter Resurrection being broken down along with every serial killer in the show being explained, then check the playlist below. What do you think will happen in Season 2? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.